What a game for the defending world champions. They now take control of their first round series against the Sacramento Kings thanks to a huge win tonight on the road, 123-116. The voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors and sometimes the Golden State Warriors, Kevon Danna, joins me next to break it all down. This is Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime, which is an awesome new ticket selling service. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Kevon Danna is guaranteed. He's low priced. Are you actually? Maybe you're actually expensive. I don't know.
Yesterday's price, Cyrus, is not today's price. In the words of Manny Fresh, Cyrus, I'm a very expensive man, but I'm very, very much worth it.
You can follow Kevon Danna on Twitter at Kevo408. Kevon Danna, it is great to have you back on the program. How are you doing, brother? I know you watched the game tonight at a sports bar, which must have been loud. I don't know if it was a sports bar, but you said some sort of establishment.
Yeah, so for the South Bay viewers of Locked On Warriors, I went to the Garrett, which is in San Jose. There's a patio. There's like an outdoor patio, which from friends and I, we take over basically. We got there for the start of the Lakers-Grizzlies game, so we were assured a good spot to watch Dubs Grizzlies. We turned the volume up to 100 so we could hear the broadcast. And it's a wonderful viewing experience. And we've been doing this since 2015, since the first championship year. So awesome. We don't do it for every play. We do it for like maybe one game a series. And so this was the game we did it for because it was a big one. And wow, what a game, Cy. I tweeted this earlier. Death, there are only 4 guarantees in life, not 3. Death, taxes.
Yeah.
Stanford Athletics winning a national championship every year. It's like 47, 48 years in a row.
Is that true? Is that true?
Yeah, that is true.
Okay.
And the Golden State Warriors winning a road game every playoff series. 28 straight, baby.
That is true. That is absolutely correct, man. You know what? Tonight, I saw the defending world champion Warriors. I have not seen that team in a long time. I saw them tonight. The grit, I thought, was back. The pace control was back. The clutch shooting was back. The swagger was back. There was just, this was the team that won the title. I don't know where they've been all year, but then again, they've been doing this for so long. Maybe they don't care about the regular season anymore, and they only care about the Warriors Invitational, and maybe rightfully so. I want to give the Kings credit, man. That's a hell of a team. I almost feel like if they get past this round, it kind of is going to be downhill from here. Like, I don't remember an opponent in last year's postseason who posed this big of a challenge. Is this too hyperbolic? What are your thoughts on that? Where do you compare the Kings to the 4 opponents they faced last year?
Pre-jaw injury, I might put the Grizzlies. I think the Celtics last year are better than the Kings this year. But the Kings this year are better than the Mavericks last year. The Kings this year are better than the Nuggets last year.
Yes.
I think Kings this year and Grizzlies last year with a healthy jaw are pretty. I would say that I would give the edge to the Grizzlies there.
Yeah, the Grizzlies.
But I agree. Like, this Kings team is not like. They're a first round worthy opponent for Golden State because they went 44-38 this year. But yeah, no, this is a really good team. I was happy to see Malik Monk stay in the game. That did not look good. That injury.
Yeah.
It seemed like he almost needed that. Like, after that, he was like played like a madman. He was
even before that, before and after that. It was
but like he really picked it up a notch after that. I felt like he was diming up Sabonis, drilling threes. He was hooping. He only drilled 1 3 in this game, but like
it was a big 3.
I mean, hats off to Malik Monk, this entire team. They are a lot of fun to watch. And the Kings are not going anywhere. Eventually, they might be the team that takes the mantle from Golden State, takes the baton. But
let's worry about that another day. Let's worry about that another day.
Yeah. I don't think that's a 2023 problem.
Yeah. And right now, the Warriors reminding people why they're the defending world champions. There were a couple players that really stood out tonight, and Kerr went with a much shorter rotation. Really played 8 plus Moses Moody for a brief stint. It was either first or second quarter. He played 4 minutes and change, but he went with his tried and true. It was an 8-man rotation. DiVincenzo played 17 minutes, had his moments. The box score won't reflect a great game from him, but he played better than what his stats showed. But clearly Draymond Green and Gary Payton II off the bench were massive. Huge. But the player that I think is going to be underrated in this, and it's a player that I don't think the Warriors win without, and I'm not talking about Stephen Curry. That's the obvious one, okay? Look, Stephen Curry is a god when it comes to basketball. He's one of the greatest ever. He clearly is the heart and soul of the Golden State Warriors. But the player I'm talking about that really stood out to me tonight, and then I'd love to know your reaction to this and who you thought stood out the most, was Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins was grabbing massively huge rebounds. I know he only grabbed 4, but actually the fourth quarter box score in front of me here, so I can actually see what he did in the fourth quarter. 2 of his 4 rebounds were in the fourth quarter. He scored 4 points, but he was huge. I thought he was the difference maker because he's a perfect two-way player for this team. He plays bigger than his size. I mean, he was a shooting guard in Minnesota, and oftentimes now he's playing power forward. In your opinion, Kevin, who really stood out to you tonight, man? Like, that just was huge. I thought it was Wiggins. I'm going to give him his love.
Yeah, I really liked Andrew Wiggins tonight. I mean, there are a few people that stand out to me. Let's start with Andrew, since you talked about him. That jumper to make it 113 to 108 with just under a minute to go. I think it was under a minute to go. That put him up 5. We're somewhere late. I mean, A, that's his shot, but B, do you know how tough of a shot that is? The whole possession, I am saying out loud, probably sound like a madman in this bar in the patio, like, give it to Steph, 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 give it to Steph. And then I said it maybe 10 more times in the first 12 seconds of that possession. And that possession essentially kind of won them the game. I mean, like, they still had work to do, but you go up 5 in that situation. Like, if Sacramento gets a stop there, they got a chance to tie things up next time down and really put some pressure on Golden State. That shot was monstrous. Maybe it was to make it 119 to 114. I forget where it was, but he had this just a huge shot late. And yeah, he had like a monster rebound in the final 2 minutes of that game.
Mm-hmm.
That was huge. So yeah, I like he had it felt like he had more than 4 rebounds.
Yeah.
Next guy I want to shout out is Klay Thompson, because the first quarter non-Steph minutes were kind of a disaster, 12-5. The second quarter non-Steph minutes were rescued by Klay Thompson. He had 3 threes when Steph was on the bench, and they needed to give him, when he's going out, he's usually getting 2 minutes or so in the first half. Hello, Groot. Thanks for chiming in. We all know who you are. But sorry, that just caught my attention. Thanks, Groot. I didn't know if we had a Guardian of the Galaxy watching Locked On Warriors. That's awesome. But like, he goes out. It's 49-44 Sacramento at like the 5:39 mark of the second quarter, and Klay, after a free throw, hits 3 threes, and that put them up. And they got an and one from Draymond Green. And so by the time Steph Curry checks back in, Draymond hits the free throw, they had gone on a 12-0 run. So 12-5 Sac in the first quarter non-Steph minutes, 12-1 Golden State in the second quarter non-Steph minutes, because Klay Thompson. Those threes, I thought, kind of rescued the game for Golden State. And then you have to mention Kevon Looney. 22 rebounds. Oh,
bro.
Jesus. Like,
bro. Dude, he was a beast.
Yeah.
A beast.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, just unreal. His 22 rebounds, 7 assists. That's the one thing that, like, we really started to see from Kevon this year, is he's a really good passer. I think he was around 3+ assists per game or high 2s per game this year. And I mean, just the 7 assists and 1 turnover. For someone who has 7 assists and
that's a good
wow.
assist to turnover ratio, which we were talking about off the air stats we care about. That's a big one. Absolutely.
That's a huge one. So those, and obviously, I mean, Steph had monster buckets down the stretch. I mean, so
dude, the growth of
Steph. I thought I'm sorry, I thought Moses in his 4.5 minutes was really good.
Dude, he's been great he's been phenomenal.
I think you continue to sprinkle Moses in the first half. Maybe you throw him some, third, fourth quarter minutes, a la Game 2 against Dallas at home last year when he kind of rescued that game with his play in the fourth quarter. He hit both of his free throws, had an assist, had a block shot. And also Andrew Wiggins, 11 blocks in 5 games, 2.2 blocks per game. Especially there was one block he had, I think, on Malik Monk, which was like just when they're making their run in the fourth quarter.
Just shut and there was moments like that really stuck out. Yeah, I mean, look, every player like we'll talk about Draymond, obviously. First of all, don't stop your tradition of going to that establishment every series. If you started that back in 2015, you better not stop doing that, please. I forgot to mention that earlier. But no, this was just a lot of phenomenal play. Stephen Curry, how much he's built his physical strength to the point where early in his career, he could not do what he's doing now, where he attacks the paint, people bounce off him sometimes, and he just gets to where he wants to go whenever he wants to do it. Opposing defenses, I mean, you're looking at Davion Mitchell. His nickname at Baylor was what? Lockdown, right?
Off night.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Yeah, because every player he guarded had an off night. He's a phenomenal defender. Davion Mitchell is someone who I thought the Warriors were going to draft. I was advocating for it before Jonathan Kuminga fell to him with the 7th pick. He's a phenomenal player, especially on the defensive side. And it took Stephen Curry, I think, about 2 games to figure him out. He's figured him out. Davion Mitchell is flustered out there whenever he's trying to guard Steph.
Yeah.
And just kudos, man, to what Steph has become as a player from when he was early to now. We're going to have a lot more time, obviously, to talk about tonight's fantastic win. After we give some love to some sponsors, starting off with Ultimate Pro Basketball GM. Kevin, I don't know if you'd be into this app. You're basically putting yourself in the shoes of Bob Myers and competing for whatever. I mean, you can create a league with friends. You can go into a league that is already set up. It's a game that all the Locked On hosts got into for a while. It became very competitive, but it's realistic. So if you're looking for something to burn time, if you're looking for something that's just really fun, to take away as a divergent from the mundaneness of reality, definitely go check out Ultimate Basketball GM. And Locked On Warriors listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo code Locked On in the game store. So make sure to check it out. To download the game, just visit probasketballgm.com, scan that code right below us, or look it up on the app stores. That's probasketballgm.com. Ultimate Basketball GM. Start your dynasty today. And today's episode is also brought to you by Ibotta. And Ibotta is all about earning cash back on every shopping trip you make. I don't think they have a graphic, by the way. I'm actually just confirming that right now. I don't think they do. So Ibotta, for example, a typical basket of groceries at the end of 2022 was $50 more than the beginning of the year because of inflation, which is a word for corporate greed. But we can discuss that another day if we want. But you could earn 2.5 times that in cash back from Ibotta, or even more, depending on how much you use it. And right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKED, LOCKED, when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app and use the code LOCKED, LOCKED. If you want to save money with your regular purchases, download it right now. It's Ibotta, IBOTTA, in the Google Play or App Store, and use the code LOCKED, LOCKED.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. Everydayers, tomorrow on the show is undetermined, but if you follow the program on Twitter at Locked On Dubs. That's where we announce start times, guests, and so forth. So make sure you follow us there. Make sure you follow Kevin Danna, the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors, sometimes the Golden State Warriors, sometimes the LA Clippers, on Twitter at Kevo408. Draymond Green, man. I mean,
Mets 92. Sorry.
What's up?
Sometimes Mets 92. Here's my Victor Wembanyama jersey.
Are you on a first name basis with Victor Wembanyama, given you call almost all of his team's games?
Oh yeah, we're cool. No, he couldn't pick me out. He couldn't pick me up. He couldn't pick me out in the police lineup. But like, I did ask him one question in the media in person when he was here in Vegas. Anyways.
I love it. Draymond Green is obviously in the news for a lot of reasons, especially in this series. Every time he had the ball tonight, the crowd naturally booed him. I was a little surprised at how quiet that crowd was. I feel like the fan base in Game 5 was a fan base who has not been in the playoffs in a long time. Would you agree with that? They didn't bring the same energy that we saw in Games 1 and 2. They seemed anxious. They were quiet a lot. I mean, do you agree with that? What do you think about the Kings crowd tonight?
So I'll say we had the volume up loud enough for me to hear Brian Anderson and Stan Van Gundy, but I didn't have the volume up high enough to like be able to tell how the crowd was. So
all right, I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it. Yeah. Did you hear bias from Brian Anderson and Stan Van Gundy? I heard a few. You didn't hear that? Brian was
I mean,
I heard some emotion in there, like he was happy when the Kings scored a couple times. I don't know, man.
So,
anyway,
okay. I will say from a play-by-play perspective, it's easier to get excited for the home team just because you're feeding off the crowd's energy, and like you kind of have to bring it more when it's like silent. Like it's just easier to feed off the crowd's energy. So that's like generally why I think like you hear a play-by-play announcer in a neutral game kind of raise it more to like match the crowd,
right?
Right. And then occasionally, last second road team does something great, then you'll hear like, then like the play-by-play guy will take over. But I would not say that. I mean,
generally speaking, he's biased. Yeah, tonight I was hearing it, and I saw it on at least on social media. Some people mentioned the same thing, and I was like,
Warriors fans, like, yeah, like anyone who I don't think there'd be any neutral that said, "Oh, this guy is getting paid by Vivek under the table."
That's fair. Well, I wasn't happy with the officials tonight in the sense you mentioned Klay Thompson having a fantastic game tonight. And by the way, we're about to see Game 6 Klay. I'm at Chase Center. I'm really stoked about that. We can dive into that now or in a moment. But I didn't think he got in foul trouble. He had 5 fouls. He was held out of the fourth quarter, a lot of it because he picked up that early 5th foul. At least 2 of those fouls seemed like absolute jokes to me. I don't know if you have any opinion on that, but Klay Thompson was fantastic. 25 points, 5 for 11 from deep. He did have 4 turnovers. Steph had 5 turnovers, but who cares when you're winning the game, right? Any final thoughts on Klay before we move on?
No, yeah, I thought his second quarter like steadied the game, because if they lose those non-Steph minutes at the same rate that they lost the first quarter non-Steph minutes, they would have been staring at a 12-point deficit with 2 minutes to go in the second quarter, which is certainly surmountable. But to be up whatever 6 instead was just huge.
No, you're absolutely right. They outscored the Kings by 7 in the second quarter, and Klay Thompson in that second quarter, 4 for 6 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3 for 11 points, which for in a quarter is fantastic. 2 players though that really stuck out to me, man, and one of them is obvious. Again, Draymond Green, who offensively, I think he scored over 20 for the first time since Christmas 2019
when they beat the Houston Rockets without Steph and Klay.
Correct.
I think that win they weirdly won 4 in a row that year, and they got them to 5.5 games out of the 8 seed at one point, not super early in the season. I remember thinking, maybe they can turn this around. I think it got them to 9-25 or something. Maybe we got a chance. Steph comes back, and COVID happened.
And Dre was in the post-game interview with the TNT crew, acknowledged how awful that year was. A Warriors team that won just 15 games. Tonight, though, again, his defense is exemplary. In my opinion, he's a top 3 all-time defensive player. Still at the peak of his powers for the most part anyways. But offensively, 8 for 10 from the field. Yeah. He had 2 3-point attempts, made one of them. Wasn't big on the glass, grabbed 4 rebounds total, but he did have 7 assists, was plus 13, which is second on the team behind Klay Thompson's plus 14. But the other player that I thought looked the best he's been all year was Gary Payton II.
Yes.
He looked good tonight, man. Like he looked like he had his hops back. Like there was that one jump ball, for example, where I think it was him versus Sabonis, and he won the jump ball, which was just awesome. That was the Gary Payton II of old tonight. He played 15 minutes offensively, was efficient, 4 or 5 from the field, finished the game with 8 points, grabbed 6 rebounds, but his hands were everywhere. He had 2 steals. Kevin, Danna, your thoughts, sir, on Gary Payton II, who I think is back.
You can tell like who's a Warrior, who's going to be a good Warrior role player by the way they time their cuts. I thought that's why Juan Toscano-Anderson fit really well with this team, and it's why Gary Payton II is like so necessary for this offense. You saw like when there was a play where Kevon Looney caught it like in the middle of the play, foul line, took a couple of dribbles, and like just instinctually GP2 knew when to cut. He gets a dunk out of it or an easy layup. Like he's probably the best guy at timing his cuts on the Warriors out of like the role players. And I just think like you need guys who have that sixth sense of how to move without the basketball. And Gary Payton II brings it. Just absolutely brings that aspect. And I mean, defensively, obviously, the deflections, just being all over the floor, the hustle on the offensive rebounds tonight. What do you have in this game, GP2? Had 4 offensive rebounds, a couple of steals.
Well, him and Looney, I think, had all the offensive rebounds.
They did, all 11 of their offensive rebounds were GP2 and Looney.
It was incredible. Incredible, absolutely incredible.
He's just absolutely, and he's under contract for 2 more years, which just makes my heart sing.
Well, and thank goodness that we're now finally reaping the rewards of that Wiseman trade. I mean, there was a little while there where, especially when the Warriors were down 0-2 in the opening round, where you're looking back at that trade going, it's all paying off now. Let's talk some more Warriors in just a minute. I got to give some love to one of our newer sponsors, Gametime. They're an incredible way for you to get tickets. And I've been clamoring, man, every time I've had this ad read come up, for Warriors fans to use Gametime, buy some tickets to Golden One. And maybe that's what happened tonight. I'm not saying this show is the reason for that, but maybe Warriors fans were in there. Maybe there were more Warriors fans than usual. Maybe the fan base there was just kind of thrown off because they haven't been in a Game 5 in damn near 20 years. So, but regardless, if you want tickets to an event, whether it's a sporting event, whether it's a concert, the Gametime app is what you should be using, simply because, if for no other reason besides the fact that they're trustworthy, they're credible, you also get a money-back guarantee if you buy tickets from them and then find tickets in the same row and section on another app or website. If they're cheaper, they will refund the difference to you. That's called a guarantee, folks. So you're literally going to get the lowest price guaranteed. It also includes event cancellation protection, job loss protection. So download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And today's episode is also brought to you by Nissan, and more specifically the Nissan Ariya. Nissan's most electric player of the week is brought to you by the all-new, all-electric 2023 Nissan Ariya, and they also have a graphic as well. Kevin, thanks for putting up with this. We don't usually have this many sponsors.
No, it's all good
on a show. But Nissan's most electric player of the week is Andrew Wiggins. I'm going to give him his due. Wiggins and Gary Payton II, they both look like their old selves tonight.
Does Wiggins get a Nissan Ariya now that he's the Nissan Ariya player of the game?
Yeah, the check's in the mail, Andrew.
Nice.
It's coming. It really is. Wiggins was phenomenal tonight. He was electric, brilliantly fierce, stunningly powerful the way he played inside, all similar to how the Nissan Ariya rolls. The 2023 Nissan Ariya packs pin you to your seat, power and premium intelligence, all in one electric vehicle. The all-new, all-electric 2023 Nissan Ariya, the electric vehicle for people who love to drive. Shop now at nissanusa.com.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. Kevin Danna joins me for one final segment. You can follow Kevin on Twitter. Is it the same handle for all your platforms? Is Twitter Kevo408? Instagram's the same? Or
no, Instagram's Dannaman SJ408. Basically, it's only pictures of my cat. So I don't really use that.
Bacon,
shit.
Baby. Bacon. Yeah, I just cooked some bacon the other day for the first time in like years. And just because my mom gave me bacon, and so I cooked it. I forgot how damn good it is, man. It's great. Like
it's I try not to eat it. Food.
It's so good, man. I try not to eat pork products, but just because I mean, I feel like it's like eating a dog, dude. They're the same intelligence, if not more. I don't know, man. There's always guilt, but then you eat that crispy bacon, and you're just like, damn, this is so good.
Hey, we're top of the food chain, Cyrus.
Malik Monk was
on. We want.
Malik Monk was on fire tonight, man. That dude, I don't see the same productivity on the road. Like, he still puts up numbers sometimes when he's at Chase, but it's not the same. But tonight, he was killing it, especially in that fourth quarter. He played the entire quarter. Every time he had the ball, I was just pissed off, man, because the guy, for some reason, was just having his way no matter what. He scored 14 points. A lot of that was because he was able to get to the line. A lot of weird foul calls. There was 2 consecutive take calls that gave him some extra free throws. Was there something that you feel like could have been done to slow him down? I saw in the chat, for example, where was it? Someone here. Howard Drake Pittman writes in the chat, I prefer Gary Payne II on Monk rather than Fox. Are you liking the defensive assignments from the Warriors in this series, especially tonight?
Yeah, no, I mean, I would have to go back and watch it again to like give you like a full answer. When I watch these games the first time, I kind of watch it like a fan. Like my eye just kind of sticks to the basketball. Honestly, I don't watch it at a very advanced level. I will say, obviously, Green on Fox in the second half was great in Game 4. Yeah, no. Monk he got to the line 14 times in Game 1. He got to the line 10 times here in Game 5. Like he's a slithery player. He's damn good. And he's been really good, especially these last couple of years with the Lakers, and he's a huge guy, boost off the bench for Sacramento, and just like those guys tend to play better at home in playoff series and on the road. So like you expect an explosion from a guy like that in a home game. And his 3, he only hit 1 3, but the 3 he hit was huge. It cut the lead to 107-103. I think he really
sketched life. It was sketch when it was 107-103. Like the moment he said that, I just suddenly was like just taken aback to that moment, and I was freaking out a little bit because the Warriors had not locked it down at that point, and Monk was just, god damn, he was annoying. He was just constantly making every damn attempt or going on the line. It was insane. Sorry to interrupt you.
No. And then I was just gonna say, and then Malik Monk did not score in the first half. He had 21 of his in the second half, 7 in the third, and 14 in the fourth. And also, like Harrison Barnes, for all the shots he has either missed in a Warriors or Kings uniform in clutch situations, that third quarter he had it going for a little bit, and he finished out with a decent enough stat line. But like he kind of helped steady the ship for them in the third quarter. He was having success with his back to the basket, burying guys in the bucket, getting to the line.
Totally with you, man. What do we hear from Kevon Looney? Some sound is starting to trickle in from the game. And Looney, who, again, we've talked about him already, but he had a monster game tonight. Not so much from scoring. I think he only finished with 4 points, if I'm not mistaken, but grabbed 22 rebounds, 7 of those offensive. Also dished out 7 assists, as Kevin talked about, especially earlier. That's a part of his game that's really evolved. So here is Kevon Looney talking about his teammate Draymond Green, who is some people were calling him, I think his own teammates were calling him Nowitzki because of that one jumper at the end with the foot kicked out. So here it is. Right? Did you hear that too?
Well, yeah. I mean, I saw people saying that in the chat, but that shot was huge. I think that made it like a 5-point lead late, just like an incredibly massive shot.
Absolutely. So here is Kevon Looney.
Who started the Draymond Nowitzki chants on the bench?
I'm not sure. It's probably with Steph. He said it as soon as he came in the locker room. That's the first thing he said. And it's cool to see Draymond to getting his scoring back. We all know he can do a lot of things on offense that he doesn't do. He's playing his role, but it's good to see him out there scoring and being aggressive.
Did that remind you? I mean, you mentioned him getting his scoring back. Did that remind you a little of 2016?
Yeah, definitely. My rookie year when I came in, Draymond, he probably averaged about 16, 15, almost a double-double, and he was always scoring and being really aggressive. And as our team changed, his role has changed, so he doesn't always have to do that anymore. But it's always fun to see.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I got to give some love to Stephen Curry real quick, just because I haven't really read his stat line. He played 42 minutes tonight, more accurately, 41 minutes, 58 seconds. Steve Kerr alluded before this game that he wasn't comfortable giving Curry 40 minutes, was going to try to aim for 38, but they need him. I mean, he's that important to this team. Was 12 for 25 from the field, which is awesome, especially awesome when you consider he was only 2 for 10 from beyond the arc, which means that he was 10 for 15 from inside the three-point line, 5 for 6 from the line, grabbed 2 rebounds, had 8 assists, did have those 5 turnovers, but it's just, what are you going to do? It's Stephen Curry. Anything you feel like we haven't discussed that we should discuss about tonight's game, which gives the Warriors a 3-2 series lead?
Want to say the third quarter, he went out with 2:52 to go. It was a 6-point lead. The Kings get a free throw and then a bucket where there's just a total defensive breakdown. And I thought he was going to sit the rest of the third quarter, so he would be good to go for the fourth, play the entire fourth quarter, and it would have put him closer to 39, 40 minutes. But no, Steve Kerr used the time out there. He felt like the tide turning, and then he was just out there the rest of the way. I thought that was kind of an interesting part of the game, because in theory, you'd much rather not have to play Stephen Curry 42 minutes a game in the first round, because if you're going to have to play him 42 minutes a game in the first round, you're probably going to have to play him 42 to 43 minutes a game in the second, third, fourth round. So if you can get a blowout at some point just to get his minutes down, and I think if they do advance, it'd be much helpful. It would be very helpful for the Warriors if they are to advance, to get it done in Game 6, to get a little bit of a breather.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. I think it helped too, Kevin, that they had that extra day between games 4 and 5. I thought that was huge. Yeah. I don't think you're going to see Steph. Steph played the entire fourth quarter. So did Andrew Wiggins. They both,
and he played the entire fourth quarter in Game 4 too, I'm pretty sure.
Crazy. So, you're right. Hopefully they win Game 6, close it out, get a few days so they can catch their breath. Because Stephen Curry playing 42 minutes, as long as he doesn't get hurt, it's fine. I mean, I feel like Steph's one of those human beings that just has that endless resource of energy, right? Like they don't get tired, even though obviously he's a human being and fatigue will settle at some point. But his energy levels are just absolutely absurd, especially given he's 35 now. And you can see the effect it's having on other teams, in this case being the Kings again, with his off the ball movement. It just drives other teams insane, because you can never rest. You can never take a second off, because if you do, he's gone, and then he has an open look, and then you're burned from that. Let's look ahead to Game 6, man. This is going to be Friday at Chase Center. Warriors are 33-8 at home this year. Klay Thompson, by the way, just saw a note that said he was not aware of the Warriors' incredible streak, which is now a 28 consecutive series where the Warriors have won at least one road game. Klay was stunned. He was like, what? I guess he was taken aback. But Game 6, are the Warriors going to close it out? Your thoughts, Kevin?
I think they have I'd say they have at least a 55 to 60% chance of closing this thing out in Game 6. And I think it's good they won Game 5 to prove to themselves that, they're still very much a road Warriors team when it comes to postseason. So that losing Game 6 wouldn't feel like the end of the world. But I think you do got to close this out on Friday.
Have to.
You don't want to take your chances in Sacramento in front of the Golden One Center crowd. Get it done on Friday. I do think they have the significant advantage. I thought this was a 6-game series the entire way. And that can still happen with a win on Friday. I think if 5 p.m. start time. Take work off if you can. Well, the people that can afford to go to Chase Center can afford to take work off early on Friday.
Hold on a second, Kevin. I didn't know that the game Friday is at 5.
At 5, yes.
Why?
Because because it's an ESPN day.
Yeah.
And so Lakers Grizzlies the other game on, and that's going to be the 7:30 p.m. game.
That's asinine, dude. So the Warriors of the two teams, even though the Warriors Kings has been getting the biggest TV ratings and overall viewership
Well,
numbers.
yeah, and that's also why they would put it at 5 p.m., right? Before an 8 p.m. East Coast audience.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So which leads. So let's say for the just for the sake of argument, Warriors win Game 6. They continue being a much superior team at home. They take care of business. They're now going to kick back and they're going to watch the Grizzlies and the Lakers. Do you have a preference for either of those teams? If the Grizzlies win Game 6, I think anybody can win that series in Game 7. Just like the same reason why you don't want the Warriors and Kings to play Game 7. Anything can happen in a Game 7. You don't want it to get to that point. So I'm sure the Lakers will have some urgency as well in Game 6 there. Do you have any thoughts on that series? And do you have a preference for the Warriors opponent?
I would much prefer the Lakers. You get a home court advantage.
Is that crazy?
That's the big reason why. I'm not super concerned about. I mean, I think they can win a road game at crypto.com. Obviously, they have fantastic fans. But I'm not super scared of that arena necessarily. I think the Grizzlies, I wouldn't say they have a better home court advantage. They have a pretty unique home court advantage. But to me, it's about getting home court. And so for that reason alone, even though they have LeBron and AD, and this team has been much better after they traded for Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, Malik Beasley, so on and so forth. I'd much rather get 4 games at Chase Center than have to play potentially 4 games in Memphis.
I agree with you, man. I'm not worried. I'm incredibly confident about either team. To me, first of all, I forgot who it was that said it. I don't know if it was Kenny the Jet Smith or who it was on the TNT crew that said this, but I thought it was very astute, which is that with each game that passes for the Warriors, they're getting better and better. Case in point, Andrew Wiggins just basically was off for nearly 3 months, and with each game that passes, he's getting better and better, and he's got a massive reserve of energy. I mean, that time off might pay off nicely. Gary Payton II is looking better. I feel like the cohesiveness of this team, which hasn't played a lot together as a whole during the regular season, is just going to improve with each game. So honestly, the Kings scare me more than either the Lakers or the Grizzlies. That's my take on it. Partly because the Warriors have already proven they can beat Memphis. So if that series comes about again, and you don't have Steven Adams, you don't have Brandon Clark to worry about this time, I think the Warriors clean shop, even if they are the 6th seed and don't have home court. On the flip side, the Lakers, big team, but the Warriors proved, at least in Game 3, they have the personnel to match size. I love the fact that they're at home. I saw someone in the chat say, and Amar saying, you know what? I'm not going to engage the chat anymore. I'm just going to block people from now on who come or are critical, because I'm not supposed to engage with the chat until the end of the show anymore. Anyways, but someone in the chat did write something that was really astute, I thought, which was that where is it? Right here. Richard Sarpong writes as we wrap the show up. Grizz any day. I don't want to deal with AD. Here's why you don't have to worry about AD, in my humble opinion. Draymond Green has his number. If there is any player in the NBA who can handle Anthony Davis and then some, it is Mr. Draymond Green. We've seen that script before. Granted, Anthony Davis was much younger. That was a very different team with the Pelicans. But in the only player I've ever seen Draymond Green have incredible difficulty guarding is Joel Embiid. And I don't know if that's because of the size. I don't know if it's because Embiid is similarly incredibly mentally tough. So Draymond cannot use that as an advantage. Draymond will effectively reduce Anthony Davis's effectiveness in that series. LeBron is 38 years old. He's incredible still, no doubt about that. He's one of the greatest ever, clearly. but I'm just very confident, and I will break it down more if and when that series comes. We'll wrap it up with this, Kevin. What are your thoughts on either of those series? Anything I missed? Anything you want to add as we wrap up the show tonight?
As far as Lakers Warriors or Grizzlies Warriors,
Correct.
Yeah,
or game 6.
Well,
or game 6.
Yeah, defeat the Kings first. Like, this series is not over yet. Let's 1-3 in a row, feeling great, but the series is not over yet. Like, 3-2 leads can get overturned. So this is not done. I remember a series that went exactly like, well, not exactly like this, but like the Miami Heat won the first 2 games in the 2012 conference finals against Boston, lost the next 3, won the next 2. And had won the what up, Steve? And had won their first 2 games at home, lost games 3 and 4 on the road, lost game 5 at home, and then like LeBron went for 45, 15, and 5 in game 6. And then they closed it out, overcame like a 13-point deficit in the first half and won game 7 before winning their first title. So like the blueprints there, obviously, you can't just translate that because of different teams, different players, yada, yada, yada. But like, this ain't over yet. Obviously, though, the Warriors are in a much better position than they were a week ago, and a much better position now than Sacramento.
Absolutely. So game 6 is what's coming up next for the Golden State Warriors, Friday at 5 p.m. What a weird ass time for the game to start. But it is what it is. And Kevin, I can't thank you enough for joining me today. Again, you can follow Kevin Danna on Twitter at Kevo408. Make sure you follow him there, the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors. What a game, man. That was a thriller tonight. And tip of the cap to these Sacramento Kings. They are a damn good team. And if and when hopefully the Warriors beat them in game 6, let's hope that happens. I do think the Warriors are going to be a lot better because of it. I mean, this is a test, man. And I don't think the Warriors are going to be worse off as long as they're healthy. So, yeah. What a game tonight, though.
I needed a cigarette after that game.
Well, if you want to join me on Larry Krueger's show, I'm going to go over there and see what's going on with that madhouse. Regardless, folks, thank you so much. I'll be back at it tomorrow. I don't know who my guest is or what's going on yet, but I do want to address something I tweeted. I'm going to talk about Steve Kerr tomorrow, and it's not going to be negative. It's actually, I finally found the revelation of, in my opinion, what was going on this year. It just was like an itch I couldn't find this whole year, and I finally found it, and I feel so damn good. I will get into all that tomorrow. My theory on why the Warriors struggle so much this regular season, and more specifically, Steve Kerr. Kevin, love you, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Are we all good? We out? We done?
We out of here. Yeah.
Bye-bye.